What up, y'all? This is Decode Dating. I'm back with another video, and this is romantic relationships are built on leverage. Here's how to do it. So, a lot of men struggle with dating, right? Sometimes women struggle with dating too. Majority of people, I would say, struggle with dating, but some people may find this topic triggering, right? And I'll just say the women probably will, because leverage in a romantic relationship is always happening. Someone wears the pants in the relationship, right? That's where the saying comes from. Someone is the top dog, someone is the leader, someone is the alpha, right? So usually, of course, I'm a man. I would always say that the man leads and the woman follows. But just because you have leverage doesn't mean that you treat the person unfairly, right? So it's all about fairness, especially when it comes from me. I want to treat people with fairness, right? So with any woman that I'm dating, I make sure I do my due diligence in vetting them. And then as far as that the vetting process goes smoothly and then we establish a relationship, before we establish the relationship, I make something called a contract. It might seem silly to some. Some of my friends did say, yo, that's a dope idea. Some of them, oh, let me get that. Let me see how it works. And then they'll go from there. It's interchangeable. You could put whatever you want in the contract. You could say, hey, listen, you can't go to sleep without brushing your teeth, right? I would say this. The only reason why I came up with this contract, and it happened after my not my last relationship, the relationship in 2021 that ended, I realized that, hey, Zach, you keep repeating the same mistakes. You're allowing certain things to happen and you're staying in the situations you're not happy with. So I had to make sure that I had leverage in the relationship going forward. It's not something where it's like legal binding contract, but if a woman could abide by the contracts that I've set, then we can get married through the state legally. I don't see anything wrong with it because you could abide by these. And I always say, just because you don't decide to make a prenup in a marriage, if you decide to get married, doesn't mean the government is not going to decide it for you. Either you make the prenup or the government does it. Period, point blank. But I digress. So here's my personal contract that I've made for women that I've dated. Right. So as you can see here, pop up on your screen, relationship contract. This is my last relationship. So if you go to my Instagram and you see the video with me when I talked about Sasha, this is the contract that I made for her. But I'm gonna show you different contracts that I had with different women in different relationships. Right. Yes, most of the relationships I had them sign a contract where it didn't last that long because let's be real, either I didn't follow the contract or she didn't follow the contract. This last contract that I've made for Sasha, I didn't follow by it. Okay. So it says relationship contract. What are your intentions with me in this relationship? And then I explain what intentions are. So I'm not going to be the type of person to say, hey, you can't do this and do that if the question is why, right? Usually I like to explain it so they can't say, well, I didn't know. So if you sign the contract, therefore you have read everything that the contract says, and by signing it, you abide by the rules, right? So I explain what intentions are. Intentions refer to the thoughts, plans, or purpose that guide your actions or decisions, which is true for everybody, right? That's what your intentions are. You chose to do that. There are the conscious aim of objectives that you have in mind and you are doing something. Intentions often influence your behavior and can help you achieve your goals or fulfill your desires. So that's just plain and straight. If somebody says I have good intentions for us, I I I think that your actions should follow, right? So I clarify what my intentions are, right? So I put my intentions are, my name there, and it says work towards building a family with a mature individual and wants a successful legacy. So that's true, and I think that's true for a lot of men out there that they want family and they want a legacy, right? And they can't do that by themselves because well, men can't make kids without a woman, right? Second, to give protection, provision, and support, right? So that's me. I'm protecting my woman. I'm getting her provision and support, right? And then third will be companionship. A lot of people don't think companionship is important, but I do. That's what I want. Now, in my contracts, I'm always fair, right? Like I said, what I say for that person, I'm definitely going to abide by the same rules, right? So for her, she put my intentions are Sasha, you see the name, says work towards an everlasting marriage built on trust, loyalty, respect, and honesty. I respect that answer because I do agree with that 100%. Second, to be nurturing, supportive, and go all my love to you. That sounds good. That's beautiful. Well said. Have a family with both parents present. I didn't have that, so I would want that. Right now, I am a single father and my son lives in Texas. So it's unfortunate that I didn't have that luxury as far as doing that, but I can still get it now. You know what I'm saying? So you can still get it if you're a single mom or you're a single dad and you want that, nuclear family present in the household. You can find a woman who wants the same future endeavors and you guys can lock in and make that happen. Okay. So this is a part of me that I'm gonna share that most people don't know. As we both know, I'm still legally married, unfortunately, but we are legally separated. Do you still want to be in a relationship with me despite not being settled as yet? Yes, knowing that it's being handled. See? So I'm transparent. I am honest. I don't like to sell dreams. I don't like to string women along. Have I done that in the past? Of course, because I wasn't thinking properly. It's unfortunate that I'm still, legally bonded with somebody, but she's in Atlanta. We do not, coexist in the same state. So it is what it is. But I let women know before they decide to be in an exclusive relationship with me, right? And she put yes, knowing that it would be handled. Respect that. Okay. So I said, do you believe in gender roles in this relationship? Men lead and women follow. She put yes. That's why I said leverage in a relationship. Men lead, women follow. Do all relationships work like that? No. Can a relationship work like that? Of course, there's exceptions to the rule. Do I want that? Definitely not. Now, this is when the breakdown happens in the relationship. This is my boundaries slash rules. This is what I've made. What are your boundaries slash rules in this relationship? Number one thing that I ask women not to do is lie. The moment you lie, no matter what you say after or what you have said before, it's hard for me to even trust or believe whatever you said because you lied to me. So, do I know what you're lying to me about next or what you've lied to me in the past? So, lying is a number one rule breaker. Just be honest. Two, disrespecting me. Refuse to listen or talk to me as I'm beneath you. So, a lot of men struggle with this. You have a beautiful woman, you never thought you would get her. She's out of your SMV. You finally get a relationship with her. You wondered yourself how you did it, and you're doing everything to keep her. So you allow her to disrespect you. Men, I'm gonna tell you this now: it's never worth it. You will be shamed, laughed at, and long term it's not beneficial because what a woman allow is what will continue. You allow her to disrespect you, she's going to continue doing it. Three, giving other men attention who are not family. That is true. If that's not your brother, your cousin, uncle, son, whoever, you're giving another man attention that's not me, it's not going to work well. Four, cheating, sexualizing yourself for the male gaze. So, yes, there are different forms of cheating. Clearly, there's emotional, there's physical, which I think is the number one heartbreak that a man can face. And yeah, a lot of women think, oh, if I post a bikini picture or I post my ass or whatever on social media, that's not cheating. You're putting a for sale sign on your body. You're letting men know that, hey, you can still hit me up. Now, like I said before, disclaimer, I'm not, I'm going to add this in there. I'm not saying a woman can't do exactly what she wants to do. She can do whatever she pleases. Whatever she wants to do, she can do. However, doesn't mean you're going to get a relationship out of me because I don't want a woman to say I'm controlling. So this is why I set the rules and boundaries. I'm going to show you the difference after this contract compared to the first contract I ever made. And y'all going to see the difference. So to the next one, five, bringing up exes to compare me with. Yeah, we're not doing that because I'm not going to do that neither. Six, going to bed mad at me. There's countless times I've been in relationships where I admit myself, have went to bed mad at my girl or whoever at the time, and instead of communicating. Yes, we humans, we have emotions. Sometimes it's hard to, regulate your emotions, and maybe you don't want to talk at the moment, but tomorrow is not promised. You might go to bed, and that person might not wake up, and then you're going to hate yourself for that. So try your best. I'm not saying it's going to happen all the time, but try your best not to go to bed mad at each other. Seven, Go a day without communicating unless an expected emergency. So now I understand that things can happen. You could lose your phone. Something can happen, right? A tragic experience. I don't know, but make sure don't do it just because you're mad at me, right? That continues with going to bed mad at me. Communicate. Say something. 8, bring other people in our relationship unless they are a trained, licensed professional. Now, I don't believe in saying too much about your relationship, how bad it is, the negative stuff that's going on, sometimes even the positive stuff that's going on. The more you let people in your relationship, the worse it can get. Because, so like I said, countless times, women have hive minds. Not saying this can't happen to men too, but the more you have somebody in your ear, the easier it is for you to be manipulated because you're in a vulnerable state. So be mindful of that. Trains licensed professionals, and make sure it's not the opposite sex. So if I'm gonna go with my girl to, say, a licensed relationship therapist or whatever you want to call them, and we're having a bad spat with each other, I'm not gonna make sure it's a man. I'm gonna make sure it's a woman because the sexual tension can be there, right? So remember, she's vulnerable. 9, having a girls' night out or trip without running it by me. So a lot of guys say, "Oh, my girl can never go on a girls trip." No, my girl can, just depending with who, when, where, and how long you're staying. I don't believe putting that much boundaries on a woman, but I do believe that if a woman is highly interested in you, she's not gonna not want to tell you where she's going and who she's going with, and she's not gonna go without you giving her permission because she understands that you're the leader, and men lead and women follow. So I always make sure I put that in there. You can do it, just run it by me. If I say no, that means no. 10, get fat. A lot of people gonna get triggered with this one, but I do believe if I met you and you weren't a big beluga whale, I expect you to not become a big beluga whale. And look what I put. Unless you are pregnant. So I usually put the women's weight when they start. When I was with her, she was 135 pounds. So I give a 10-pound increase unless she's pregnant. She can gain 20 pounds during her pregnancy. That's fine with me because she's holding our baby. So yes, don't get fat. I find it very unattractive and repulsive. You just let yourself go, and best believe I am not going to get fat. You feel me? Okay, 11. Leveraging sexual access for monetary gain. So a lot of people don't know what this means, right? You're using sex to get money out of me, basically like a prostitute. Oh, I'm gonna give you some sex if you buy this bag from me. I'm gonna give you some sex if you take me out to this fancy restaurant. It doesn't work like that. You should organically want to fuck me without monetary gain behind it, right? Then 12, leveraging sexual access for domestic work. As far as me taking out the trash, oh, you took out the trash, so you get some coochie. You don't reward me with something that's mandatory. If we ain't having sex without me taking out the trash, there's no point of us being in a relationship. Women do that and men allow it. 13, that's the last one, with withholding sexual access to insert dominance. So a lot of men fail with this last one as far as they do whatever the woman says and hopes in getting some coochie from the woman that's supposed to give them coochie, which is so absurd to me. You stay in this relationship. A lot of men I've heard are in sexless marriages, haven't had sex in 6 months, a year, a few years, and the wife is still moving around and do what she wants. No, leave. If she's not giving up the number one thing you even got in a relationship with her with, there's no point of being in a relationship. Okay? So the next thing, she did put her boundaries in the contract as well, which I don't mind because now I want to understand where she's coming from. Right? Sasha's boundaries. Also, be honest with me about the conversation you have with women. So she knew me when I had my Decode dating, and she knew me when I did have clients. Female clients, not so much that I had at the time when I met her, but I did have a lot before that. So she would want me to conversate with her and let her know what's going on, which 100%, I 100% agree with. 2, if your lady friends start to show even slightest signs of wanting you or flirting, cut them off. I agree 100%. She had a male best friend from when she was younger. Her brother had passed away. That male best friend was in her life for 20 years plus. Do I understand? Yes, I understand. Do I agree with it? Fuck no. But she gave me the common courtesy to say the same thing. I did have a female friend of mine. She know who she is. if she ever sees this video. 3, no flirting with clients or other women in general, including social media. So when I have my Decode dating, I never flirted with women. That was never my intentions. My intentions was to talk about dating, plain straight and forward. That's pretty much it. So I didn't use my dating platform to do that. And I don't see the need to do that because, hey, I can get screenshotted and next thing you know, my DMs is all over the place. 4, we must talk things out that bother us and come up with solutions that include some sort of compromise on both sides that we both feel comfortable with. So I agree. We didn't do that, clearly. I did do something to break her trust, so she didn't follow her part with that one. 5, zero entertaining other women. I understand. I agree with that too. So, see, I wrote my boundaries and she wrote hers. So now we understand. And if any time you want to look back at it, because some women say, "Oh, I have bad memory," bitch, look what you wrote. I hope this jogs your memory. So I continued with the contract saying, I will understand and accept if you are going through a traumatic experience or your menstrual cycle. That's basing off, the whole shit that I wrote before. And then I also said, do you feel you can have a long distance relationship with me? You're currently living 57 miles away from me. Yes, uh, and then she put, this is her response. I didn't label it. Yes, as long as we respect the relationship and our boundaries. I agree. I didn't. I fucked up first. I admit that, like I said before. Then I put this, which is very important, guys. Just because you land the girl that you are very highly interested in, just because you get her, don't mean you stop dating her. You know what I'm saying? You continue to date her because nobody wants a boring ass relationship. I like to plan dates to keep the LTR, long term relationship, fun and exciting. We should have at least 1 to 2 dates per month, depending on our personal life schedules. Now you're not every month gonna go by and you guys are always gonna date, but nothing has to be extravagant. But just make sure you have time to date each other. Don't just say I'm busy all the time. So I think that's bullshit. You find time for what and who you want to be with. We should always find the time to connect more on an intimate level to keep a genuine connection. You see how respectful I am when it comes to this whole contract thing? Okay, just let y'all know. Okay, then the next thing I said, do you understand and agree with my rules on marriage? She put yes. So at the time, I'll explain real quick. My views on marriage is I didn't want to get married through the state, but I did talk to her and say, listen, because I technically legally am married still. I told her if she could abide by this contract, I can see where we can, mesh our thoughts and actually get married. Because I'm just a big fan of just, religiously, you get married in a church, or I give her a ring and we just tell people we're married. It's just that the government doesn't acknowledge us as a married couple, which is understandable, right? That's just one. I had my reasonings. She understood and she put yes. Now I put this, which makes perfect sense and it's fair. Our phone numbers should be changed if a problem occurs in a relationship where one party feels disrespected from the opposite sex. So that goes to tie into, our opposite sex friends, where it's like if they started flirting with us and it continued and some other shit or some person hit us up and they wouldn't leave us alone, our phone numbers should be changed. So now we don't even have that thought no more. Now, if you can't contact me personally and I change my number, if my number gets out to that person again, you know who did it, right? Next, I must put, and this is very important, guys. Listen to what I'm about to say here. I must put purpose in the front of our relationship. A lot of women, some women might not agree. Oh, give me attention. Oh, take me. No, listen. I must put purpose in front of our relationship to ensure that we benefit to ensure that we benefit if you decide to have children. Sorry, guys. In the near future. That does not mean I will not make sure you are mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually stable. So I have to put purpose, me grinding, me, seeking everlasting wealth for us because clearly it's going to be beneficial for you and the children. So make sure you tell a woman that you have to put purpose first, but you're not going to neglect her feelings or whatever. And now, last but not least, and I think this is the most serious part. I take relationships very seriously. If you cannot follow these guidelines to a reasonable level, I would much rather us part ways so we do not end up resenting each other. See, a lot of people stay in a relationship and they resent the person because it's called a sunk cost fallacy. You invested so much, you don't want to retract and leave because you feel like, oh, well, I might as well just stay. No, cut your losses. And then I'm going to show you she did sign the signature and it was dated. We started dating officially 11/9/25 and we officially ended. I wrote it 4/10/26. Unfortunately, it didn't last that long. You can tell by there, 6 months. I've dated her for a month prior to that. So I only knew her for about 8 months, you can say. So yeah, that just to go to show the guys how the relationship should have leverage, right? So some may not agree with this. Some men be like, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever I want and I'm gonna leave it like that. But it depends on your dating style. Would you want STR or LTR, short term relationship or long term relationship? My relationships, especially if I'm highly interested or sexually attracted to this woman, I'm I would say I'm picky at most for a certain look. If we're gonna work and you want this long term relationships, you have to abide by this contract. So now I want to show you the difference. So that was my last contract made for the last woman I was with. As you've seen the timestamp, the date, and everything. We ended literally this year in April, right? Now I want to show you the first contract I ever made, right? So look at this. Similar style to the beginning. I put what are your intentions and I explain what intentions are. The same thing I put in the beginning. The same thing I asked about gender roles and the same boundaries. However, the reason why it's different with this woman is because I understand I knew her for about, you can say 3.5 years to 4 years prior to us actually dating. Was she a friend? I wouldn't call her a friend. You can say she was a FWB, a friend with benefits, right? So we were smashing from time to time. Where I was in a relationship, she was in a relationship, we wouldn't communicate. When we break up, we go back to each other, right? We no longer talk, we no longer communicate because this relationship ended it, right? So I put the same style. What are your boundaries in the relationship? What I changed, if y'all notice, I put do not lie. So everything start with do not, do not, do not, do not. No. The reason why I don't put do not anymore for any contract I made because I'm not telling you do not do this. I'm telling you what I'm willing to accept and willing and not willing to accept, right? So men have to understand this. Women would find anything to make you say like, oh, you're controlling or you're manipulating or you're a narcissist or you're insecure because I put do not. Now you change it. Don't put do not anymore. Leave it as, what I put prior to the relationship. Lying. Plain and straight. You know what I'm saying? So by me putting do not, not saying that made her do anything because we broke up for something totally different. This was just a tell sign for me to understand. Don't tell women do not do this. Oh, you can't go with your friends. You could do whatever you want because before we established the relationship, you knew my intentions. You knew what I wanted. You knew my likes and dislikes. I'm never going to tell a woman you can't go with your friends. Do what you want. All I'm going to say is I will not take women seriously who think going out with their friends without telling their man is okay. You can do whatever you want. But men have to understand this. You have leverage because women have leverage sexually. You cannot have sex with them if they don't want to have sex with you. Unless you're a weirdo and you do the R wording stuff and the essay stuff, then you're just completely weird and you deserve to be in jail. Other than that, you cannot enter, penetrate, or be with a woman or kiss a woman, touch a woman if she does not want to be touched by you. Plain and straight. So this is why I don't put do not anymore. Do whatever you want. I'm gonna tell you ahead of time. I don't date women who think partying every week is okay. I don't take women seriously. Now, if she likes you, she's gonna apply that method. Like, oh well, I really like him. He doesn't like that. I ain't doing it no more. Right? So the same setup and everything. And I put the do not get fat. Now, the last part of my last contract, you can see I added 11, 12, and 13 about the whole leverage sex thing, right? Now, a lot of people don't understand the dynamic of this relationship that I had with this said woman. She told me personally that any man that she wants or gets with is a man typically who's going to want other women, right? Not a high value man, quote unquote, just a man who wants to exercise his options per se, right? So I did know that, and she did fool around with women here and there, aka being bisexual. So I put in this contract, and listen to this, guys. As we mentioned before, at that time in my headspace, yes, at that moment, because this was how many years ago? 3 years ago, give or take, that I made this, maybe four. I put, as we mentioned before, I do not believe I could be sexually exclusive with only one woman. She knows that. However, I do not want to disrespect women by lying. I made rules to ensure that boundaries do not and will not get violated. You see how I bolded do not and will not get violated, right? So, one, this is a funny, not every man can pull this off, but I'm going to read through it, right? One, if a woman approaches me in a flirtatious manner, I will address the situation by stating I have a girlfriend and I do not want anything besides sexual relations. Plain and straight, man. Be honest. I tell men all the time, cheating is corny. But if you tell the woman, hey, I can't be monogamous, she understands that and she stays, she gets everything that comes with it. And yes, I had a couple of people project their insecurities by saying, oh, well, she's only allowing that because she wants to do the same thing too. No, that's something you would want to do. That's why you're saying that. Projection. Anyway, two, I must use protection for our safety. Now, I kind of fucked up with the third one. I must get STD tested every 3 to 4 months. No, it should be every month. But I wasn't planning on chasing women, but I'm going to put that in there. Four, I must come home at a reasonable time, never spend the night at the three or four's house. So if I'm smashing a chick and I go to a crib, can't sleep there. Get up out of there. Five, I will never have hickeys, lip gloss, or lip gloss stains, lipstick stains on me or my clothes. That's disrespectful because she's gonna be like, nigga, you was out smashing another chick. Not gonna do that. Six, I shall not vent or be emotionally available to these gardening tools, hoes. So I can't tell them my problems or the problems that's happening. Just smashing. Seven, they shall request my services of any kind if I'm in bed with you. I put they shall not request my services. So if I'm laid up with my boo thing and she agreed to this whole contract shit of me not being sexually exclusive, they can't hit me up when I'm with my shorty. And if they do, they get ignored. Hey, I must not give these cum gobblers any financial resources to support their business, and employment, relationships, or family. So I'm not supplying resources for these gardening tools. I'm just smashing and dashing. I put cum gobblers to make her laugh. Nine, if they want to fuck us both, then we both have to agree to it. I will never force a threesome with you. So that's the respectful thing, men, that you should do. If your woman is quote unquote bisexual and she likes other women, never force the issue. Just let it happen organically, right? 10, last but not least, you definitely can't fuck any other dude. Don't even think to ask me. The answer is hell no. I don't care if it's a clone of me. Still no. So I put that in there to laugh, but she did agree that she doesn't want any other guy. And if she ever did, that would never happen. Relationship is over with. So that just goes to show men that you need leverage in the relationship, right? If you are the captain of the ship and the ship is going down, guess what the captain does? Either you try to save the people or you go down with the ship. So a lot of women think, oh, well, I could lead my relationship or it's 50-50. No, the fuck it's not. Because you want all the benefits, but none of the consequences. It doesn't work like that. The man has to lead. That's why I typically say if the relationship fails, it's the man's fault. Because if you don't do your due diligence of vetting a woman and you get with a 304 or a sex worker from the past and she cheats on you, you can't say, oh man, I didn't know. Majority of the time, it's the man's fault the relationship fails because you have to make sure you vet thoroughly. They want a relationship with you, not the other way around. And if you do, something's wrong with you, brother. You know what I'm saying? So this is my contract. This is how I um, you know, make my relationships happen after the fact of vetting. Now, it's not a quick process, and you do have to analyze the woman that you're with. You got to figure out her interests, and you got to apply the contract to her. Not every contract works with every woman. Yes, a lot of men say, oh, well, if I'm high value and have a whole bunch of money, she's gonna do whatever I say. No, it doesn't work like that. She'll do what you're saying for the time being, and when she gets enough of whatever it is, she's gonna leave. You have to understand that not every woman is the same. So, men, don't copy my contract. I mean, if you do, just hopefully the girl's okay with it. Excuse me. Make sure you make your own contract by vetting the woman. I made this contract by vetting the woman. You know what I'm saying? Yes, this contract was made short because I only vetted her for a month, which is kind of fucked up. But usually the time frame is 6 months to a year for guaranteed. So you guys are dating, not exclusively. Clearly, you're keeping your options open. Some women hate to hear that. You do not have to tell them that. I'm just telling you guys that. But at the end of the day, after the vetting process is done, you make your contract. And this is what I don't do. I used to do that in the past. I can't say I never did that. What I've used to do in the past is ask the girl, oh, do you want to meet my girlfriend? No, the only time is you do that when she's, um, when you're, when you're considering making her your wife. That's when you're like, will you marry me? Right? Other than that, don't ask her to be the girl because you got to make sure she even likes you enough to want to be in that relationship. A lot of men jump the gun. Oh, you're my girl and this, that. No, don't do that. Let her ask, what are we? Let her question where she stands with you. And then the ball is in your court and you dictate all the terms.